Mhm. We have to go out to his car.
I can handle that. If need be, I can do that.
Yeah, I think Tia said she gets some.
And just before we get started, I just want to thank you all for coming to our University Express program. I think is this your first University Express class?
No, I think I came to one a couple weeks ago. I'm trying to think what it was.
Yeah, all right. Well, welcome back. And I hope you've been enjoying University Express or plan to continue coming to our classes. We are right in the thick of it. So like I said, we're really stretching it out to mid-August. So we got plenty of classes left on all sorts of topics. Along with that, I work with the Erie County Department for the Aging. If you have any other questions about what the Department for the Aging can offer or help you with anything, case management, nutrition, whatever it may be, I may not have all the answers, but I know who to put you in contact with. So I'll be here after if you have any questions on that. Before we get into today's classes, please silence your cell phones out of respect for our speaker and guests. And with that, I will first say that we are live streaming this, so we have a couple of people online. They cannot see you, but they can hear any questions you have. And I may have some questions that I'll be asking from people online. With that, today I would like to introduce Paul Hutchings for investing for your beneficiaries, kids, and grandchildren. As a fiduciary wealth manager, Paul helps individuals and families design personalized financial plans that reflect their goals, values, and evolving life stages. For 13 years in the financial industry, after a prior career in sports marketing, he brings a client-first philosophy to every relationship. Originally from Fairport, New York, lives in Lancaster with his wife and 2 sons. Paul, I'll hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Eric, and thank you all for having me today. I appreciate being here and hopefully be able to spread some of my knowledge to you. I've been doing these for many years that I feel valuable in starting conversations. What I will tell you in my industry, I specialize in wealth management. So I work with individuals and families on helping them with anything guidance for your life that deals with the finances, from investments to estate planning to everything else in between. So with today's topic, I actually introduced this topic a couple of years ago into my repertoire because a lot of people started asking, how do we take care of my family for future, whether or not I'm here and able to give or after the effect? So I want to go through these topics today and hopefully leave you with some options and different things to think about. Now, some housekeeping. I will tell you, the folders I gave each of you, feel free, I have a couple extras, so feel free if you know anyone that might want it too. It's just information on some of the things we talked about today, and other things are just different things to think about when it comes to your overall financial plan. I will also tell you, my information is in there. At any time, feel free to reach out to me. Use me as a resource. There is no cost for that. You can use me for information, questions, meetings. I'm happy to help. So if there's something that you want to talk through, whether it be today, tomorrow, or anytime in the future, feel free to save my information and reach out to me. I'm always happy to help.
Is there only one office? Sorry.
Yes, so great question. Yes, so I am located in West Seneca.
Okay.
However, I do a lot of traveling. I have clients all the way north, the Medina Gasport area. So I travel through here quite a lot. I do home visits. I come to senior centers and meet there as well too, because that is, from my community, I work with a lot of the senior centers. And I go there individually for not only presentations, but also one-on-one meetings to help and sit down. And like I said, that's no cost to you. It's my service is to help educate and provide a resource that you can feel comfortable having specific answers and needs met for you that I can help you with. So with that, the other thing I wanted to mention throughout today's presentation, I will take questions. So if there's something that you want me to go into a little bit further on that slide, please stop me. I'll be happy to answer. I will also stay around afterwards too. So if you have a question that you don't feel comfortable maybe asking in the group or anything, I will stick around and help answer any questions as well for you. But with that getting started, we're talking about investing for the next generation and how to make sure we best handle your assets going to loved ones or charities. With you all in the room, I think for anyone that wants to have more knowledge on this topic, I always say you have a kind heart because you are thinking of others. And I think of that a lot with this quote to start out, that the true meaning of life is to plant those trees under whose shade you will not expect to sit, but you're essentially passing on to help better the future. So today we're going to talk about the different ways to give. And I'm going to focus on the 3 topics. Number 1 is about gifting. Number 2, we're going to talk about inheritance. And then number 3, which ties into the main part of this presentation and really can incorporate the other 2, is how to invest correctly for benefiting those other 2. Now, I will tell you, and I'll remind you this at the end as well, every plan, financial plan that you focus on and you take care of for yourself is going to be different. That's okay. Not 2 financial plans should be alike. So it's okay if you're doing something different than a family member, a friend, a neighbor. And that's why I'll say today's presentation, when I talk about this different topics, does not mean that everything is right for your situation. So I will remind you when I give you this knowledge today, please follow up and personally talk to a professional, whether it be someone that you're working with as a financial advisor or accountant, or like I said, if you don't have anyone or you want a second opinion, myself is there for you. But definitely talk specifically about your plans and your goals to make sure you can accomplish what I talk about today. So the first off, we'll talk about gifting. Why do we decide to gift? Number 1, it could be that joy. You know, I said if you're in this room and you have a kind heart that you're thinking of others and want to put your investments and your assets into helping others, you might want to benefit that by seeing that joy and seeing that benefit happen now. The next is tax advantage. One of my biggest things I'll tell you in my job is trying to make sure that you and your family get the most out of your money. The IRS feels otherwise, where they say Uncle Sam should have a bigger piece of that. That's where we want to play that smart game to make sure we understand the opportunities of how, if we are deciding to give money, how do we do it in the best way so that money that you're trying to give ends up in the other person or charity's pockets with the most money available that you're trying to give. The next one is timely opportunities. And opportunities is something we talk about consistently because it's the opportunity that you see to be able to help someone, to provide them with the ability to accomplish a goal. And in the end, isn't that all about what our life is about and how we use our resources is to accomplish our goals? It might be that you're saving up to purchase a new car. It might be that you're saving up to help put money towards a grandchild's wedding. It's anything that your goals are. It's about making sure you have the ability to take advantage of that opportunity when it comes available to you. And the last reason why we look to gift may be for financial education. It's a way to provide an actual feeling of education by showing a real life example. I grew up in a household, and I look back, and of course, you just like this as a kid when you have a birthday or a Christmas present, and you open it up, and it's a nice $25 savings bond. What 10-year-old kid doesn't love that, right? But over time, that helps you become educated in why and how those can benefit you later on. And it's not just that instant gratification of a brand new toy. It's going to benefit you later on and help you provide understanding about money and about saving for the future. Now, in this first topic, if we do look to gift, we have some advantages to be able to give as individuals. So did you know that every year you could gift up to $19,000 to as many people as you want? There is no tax liability with you giving up to $19,000 per year to as many individuals as you'd want. Same thing for married couples, just double that number. And as a married couple, you can donate up to, or gift up to $38,000 to each individual. Yes, ma'am.
Now, does the receiver have to claim it and pay taxes on it then?
That's a wonderful question. There is no tax reporting, and there's no taxable impact for you or the individual receiving it. And that individual could receive multiple gifts from different individuals. And it doesn't change their income. It doesn't change their taxable impact for that year. The other, yes.
If you give them a check, you have to put on the bottom of that check gift.
You do not, no. I mean, it's for
Is
For
that
your
true?
tracking part of it,
Yeah,
it's
I
good.
thought that was, that has
Yep.
changed, you don't have to.
Right. I would say it's more for your tracking
So-
part because. Sorry, I don't want to interrupt. Go ahead.
It won't go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. If it comes up, just stop me.
Because it was a good question.
What I was gonna say though, and why this becomes so important, is because one of the stipulations like this is you got it.
I got it.
Yep. Go ahead.
Because if something happens to you or you end up having to go to nursing home or something,
Mm.
they're gonna want to know where that money is.
Yes, I was just gonna say that. Yes. So that is one of the very important stipulations to know, because this does not carry any protection. And what I mean by that is if you give money today and then tomorrow you have to go to a nursing home and you are applying for Medicaid, they look back 5 years. And they will say, if you're gifting large amounts of money over the past 5 years, you're not going to be eligible for Medicaid until it delays that standpoint, or you're able to get that money to receive back to give to the nursing home. So, and they set up that rule because they don't want people just giving all their money away before you go into a nurse.
Well, that's why they asked for a 5-year,
Yeah.
Yep.
I recommend. They keep saying it's going up to 7, so why they haven't done that yet.
Have not heard anything about that officially moving forward, but I know that's been this rumor out there. But it is right now 5 years. But you're right. It unfortunately could change at any point. So that's why I said, like, this is a great opportunity, a great idea, but we got to make sure it fits your plan. Now, yes.
Can you gift the E-bonds or the I-bonds, those education ones? Can you gift those just to get rid of them?
So the question is with gift and I bonds, anything else like that? Yeah, the double E savings bonds and stuff.
Yeah.
You are able to. those are gonna factor in to what you're gifting, because it is obviously a certain dollar amount. But you have a lot of wiggle room. Most people are not going out and giving, $10,000 bonds to individuals for the most part, right? But it's still a gift that they're gonna track. So yes, there is still a track and a 5-year look back on those gifts.
No taxes.
No taxes, correct. Yep.
Oh, okay.
Now, the other thing, and I'm kind of going down another part here, but since we kind of brought up the 5-year look back and stuff like that, when it comes to that 5-year look back, they're looking at more assets. They're not looking at possessions. So, say for instance, you took your money and you bought a $500 couch for your, niece or nephew. They're not going after that couch because it's a property. They care more about the tracking of dollars as it goes. So if it comes something where you're saying, well, I want to help someone, but I don't want to just give them the money, I'm going to buy them something instead that's going to be helpful for them. That's something. Is it kind of a scoot away around it a little bit? But I don't want to get down. I mean, I know that there's so many things when we talk about protection of assets from Medicaid and going for nursing homes and everything like that. I do a whole other presentation on that because that's very in depth. And that's usually where I always say you want to rely on an estate plan and attorney if that's something that is a part of your plan that's important to you. Estate plan and attorneys are going to be ones that help to build a plan and how to protect your assets. Just by gifting is not necessarily going to protect their assets. But this is a nice thing to know because, again, it just gives you some flexibility to know that you can do something nice for individuals and have them receive cash in hand within a year. Now, let's say, for instance, you decide to gift more than these limits within a year. And mind you, this is every calendar year. So you can gift $19,000 to one individual on December 31st. And then the next day, which is a brand new year, you can gift them another $19,000. But let's say if you did it all within one calendar year, there's still no tax impact. What the IRS does is they keep track of your overall estate. And did you each know that your estate, from a federal standpoint, as an individual, is worth $15 million?
No.
So they'll tax you if you have more than $15 million that you're trying to leave. So I kind of joke like that because for majority of us, we don't have to worry. Whether we give it before we pass or after, we have a good amount to be able to give. And this includes the value of any homes, properties, land, and then obviously investments, assets, and banks and stuff like that. For married, it's just double that at $30 million. Now for New York State, it's a little bit less. So we're talking federal taxes, and then we're talking state taxes. But still, for state, as you see, the lowest for an individual is still $7 million. So if you have more than $7 million today in assets, and you have not talked to a financial advisor, an estate planning attorney, that might be your call that you probably make this afternoon just to get that started.
Yeah.
I would hope, though, if you do have this, that you have been in those conversations.
I hope you live that 5 years.
But I joke about this because, as you see, these numbers, in a way, we stress so much about taxation and what we're leaving, and there's going to be a lot of taxes on what we leave. We have a lot of wiggle room to be able to leave a lot of assets. So in my example, and I have this example that's kind of run through with you. Let's say, for example, you decide to gift your house. I'm going to use a house as an example because obviously that's a larger value that you're giving to someone within a calendar year. So in this scenario, let's say a father gifts his only child his home. And his home is worth, at the time of that gift, $319,000. Well, the first $19,000 of it is excluded because that's allowed in a general year. The rest of it, the remaining $300,000, needs to be filed with the IRS. There's still no tax liability because, like I said, you have $15 million to be able to gift. So when you file with the IRS for that year, you say you gifted above the limits by $300,000. So all the IRS is doing is keeping track of that number, and they're saying you no longer have the $15 million. You now have the $14,700,000 left to gift over your lifetime. Like I said, this is not a major issue for majority of people, but if you do end up even gifting $1,000 over in a year, it's not a penalty and no one's taxed. You just file, it's called a Form 709. Accountants know this, they take care of it for you. And it just adds to the overall fact, but there is still no taxes due.
What happens if you put on your son or daughter, whatever, on your house?
As like
As-
a kind of a trust, like a living.
Yes,
Mhm.
living trust.
Mhm.
Does that work the same way, right?
It does, yes. So that's the perfect example would be like something like this. A trust just pretty much says, for
Right.
most like living trusts, like what you're probably
Yeah.
talking about,
Yes.
is that in the trust it says you still have legal rights to that home. You still get to live there. You pay the bills. The utilities are still in your name. But that house is essentially in someone else's name.
It's in both names, isn't it? His name is there with mine. My name is still on it.
It would still be there, yes.
Yeah.
So from that, what you're trying to essentially do is you set that 5-year look back clock.
Long time.
Yep. So from
So if you have to go to a nursing home, they can't take your house.
correct, yes.
Okay.
Yep. So that counts
I'm
within
covered,
this year.
right?
Yep. Yep. That was gifted. And that was, like I said, this is, very basic with the gifting part. There's not much strings attached. There's not much to it. It's just really the what if. And that's the toughest thing to plan for is not knowing how long we have. Do we have the 5-year window to do this stuff? Do we not? So that's the number one of the instant joy that you get now by gifting. The second one is saying, I don't think I can gift, or I don't want to gift right now, but I want to make sure I build something for my inheritance, for my beneficiaries after I pass away. And why do we do that? Number one, you get to leave your legacy. And sometimes with this, and I'll tell you, I work with different clients, it's all preference. For some people, they don't want their family to know what they have. For others, they do share that and let them know, what's potentially there after they pass and why maybe they're leaving it for after they pass. But either way, you're leaving something for family. Opportunities as well. These could be life-changing. This could be something where you leave your kids or grandkids money that allows them to advance their career, allows them to get to retirement sooner, allows them to be able to, purchase their first house for the family, whatever it is. It gives them the ability for those opportunities that you are leaving them with. And this is kind of similar to legacy, like you're creating that generational wealth. And the hope is that you're providing not only the resources, but also what to do with it for them, that they're going to be set up for their family to get better off, and so on and so on. And then I think the last thing is the peace of mind for yourselves. Because you're not giving that money yet, you're still using it for yourself if needed. You may never use it, and if you don't, you know that it's going to the people or loved ones that you want to. So different ways to leave an inheritance. Number one, any accounts that you have money in, whether it's bank accounts, whether it's investments, whether it's some type of asset or property, is putting beneficiaries on those accounts. It's easy for investment accounts. I ask that question every meeting I have. Any account we set up, we make sure no matter what age they are, that they have a beneficiary. If it's a friend, a family member, does not matter. I don't know if the next day you're gone. And I want to make sure that that money that's left is going directly to who you want to go to. Also, did you know that for your bank accounts, you can have beneficiaries on there? They are called PODs. So if you go into your bank and you say, I still want my account to be my account, but if something happens to me, this is where who I want the money to go to. It makes it a very easy, smooth process for them to receive that money. A POD stands for payable on death. You can also do what's called a TOD, which is transfer on death. So those are usually the two acronyms that you will hear when it comes to putting names on an investment account or bank account.
If you have to put those in there, or just have their name on there, your account.
You don't have to. This is one way that then you're still having control. This doesn't give them access to your account while you're alive.
I know that, but it doesn't have to say that they're whatever you're saying those.
Nope.
Oh, okay.
Nope. It doesn't have to be at all. So.
Yeah.
The next, and one of the more common ways too, is if you work with a lawyer or attorney to build a will or testament. And these are really going to be something that they're your wishes that are filed. That when something happens to you, you're designating where your property's going, where your resources are going, who's in charge as your executor to help facilitate all that. One thing that's important, I will say though, if you, let's say for example, put your kids on as beneficiaries, and then today you went to a lawyer and you put me on your will as a beneficiary, your beneficiaries that are on your accounts will always trump what is in a will. And the reason for that, one of the reasons, is this is easy to change. This is no cost to you. With this, you have to go through a lawyer. They have to write it up. You usually have to pay something. So we don't like to change those as much. These are easy and simple to change. So if someone does pass away that was your beneficiary, you're able to call the company or the bank and tell them, hey, I need to switch it to this person. These are really good for property, possessions, important things to you that you want to make sure ends up in the hands of someone that you think would benefit from that. You can go as far as, my great-grandfather that you have that you want to make sure goes to this grandchild. That's what these are good for. These are really kind of your directions after you pass for how to divvy up your important things to you in your life. The last two at the bottom here, these are a little bit more complex. And what I will say too, with complexity comes, of course, more cost. These irrevocable trusts and revocable trusts are always going to be done through an attorney. I will always recommend going through an attorney that labels themselves as an estate planning attorney. Any attorney can do these, but why you go forward with these are really important for protection. And you gotta make sure that those documents are correctly written out. And someone that is a professional estate planning attorney, this is what they do. Now, these are something that will build specifically for each individual. So they're not just you opened up an irrevocable trust, this is what it does. It does the same thing for the next person. You are getting to build your personal plan, your personal wishes in detail. For instance, for any of these trusts, you could specify and say, I have this one investment account. It's going to go to my grandchildren. But if they are younger than 25, they don't get anything. Then at 25, they get it at this percentage. At 30, they get it at this percentage. At 35, they get the rest of it. You can build it how you want to making sure that you're kind of controlling if you feel it maybe the people or individuals that you're leaving this to might not be mature at the time. These also, if you are looking to put assets away that you are trying to protect from, say, Medicaid and nursing home, your irrevocable trust is the most important trust that will help you with that. Like I said, I run a whole presentation on this alone. I mean, we could talk for an hour and a half or more on these 4 different things and the benefits of them. I'm giving you kind of a tidbit now because these are important things. If it's important to you, let's definitely further that conversation or talk to your advisor, talk to your attorney about these things. This is why we protect. This is what we are for more so inheritance. Now, the main piece of this is the investment piece. And different options to invest. And your investments can still be applied to both the things we already talked about. Gifted investments or even investments as inheritance. But these are some different ways to think about those investments and how to set them up now so they can benefit others for yourselves. Number 1, why we invest? Education. And each of these we'll talk about, but education is a big piece for some. Some people find it very important that they want to make sure they're leaving a legacy that is known throughout the rest of the family, that education was very important to you, and you want to make sure you provide next generations the resources to have the same education abilities or opportunities. Second is the independence. Given a younger individual the resources at a younger age to be able to accomplish something that maybe you couldn't, or maybe that you did get to and you want to make sure they have the ability to. And opportunity, there it is again. I'm going to show it every time, but it's all these things are very important to have the opportunity, have the resources available if something comes up. Now, this is not a sales pitch for investments. And what I will tell you too is that investments carry risk. And risk has to be aligned to each of your preferences. And each of your preferences can be drastically different. So I'm never talking about investments in that sense. What I'm talking about is going to be making sure your money is keeping up to the level you want it to grow. Now, what I mean by that, let's say you took money and you buried it in the backyard 20 years ago. And today you went and unburied it. It's the same exact dollars, right? But 20 years ago, what were we able to buy with that money compared to what we were able to buy with it today? A little bit less, right? Especially the gas station and grocery store. We all know it. We feel it recently, especially. That is why we look to make sure our money is growing at a comfortable level. If you're the type that buries your money in the backyard and you know when you take it out, it's still going to be there, it's going to be the same money, and that meets your goals and expectations, I will never tell you it's wrong. But if you're the person that 20 years from now want to make sure that your money is still able to afford what we're buying, this is the visual to see that and the power of a dollar and how far it was and how much it was worth going back. And that dollar, I'm sorry, you might not be able to see, but that dollar, even 10 years ago, was 20 cents more. And even more so now because inflation has even kicked up. And I know the report just came out today that inflation's higher again. So costs go up. We need to make sure that our money goes up with it too. Yes.
Just yes, when you hit on there about the revocable and the irrevocable
Yeah.
trusts, what was the difference with those?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes. So the biggest difference is think of it like you're building your own safe. And your safe is what you're going to put your assets into. With the irrevocable trust, that safe from the day you build it starts a 5-year clock. When it hits that 5 years, the door shuts, it locks, and it won't open again until whatever you designate how it's going to be opened happens. And most of the time that's death. Why that's important is because when that safe shuts, you can't access that money, but also Medicaid, nursing homes, no one else has the access. So you're essentially saying what you put in there, you're protecting that for future generations. But it does restrict you as well, unfortunately. So that's not always for everyone, because sometimes you might say, well, I want to put this in there, but I might need to access that still during my lifetime. And that's where the revocable trust is a good one, because that door always stays open. What that does is still provide you with the stipulations to say, if I pass away or something happens to me, these are my plans, and this is what's going to happen with all these assets that were sitting in there now that I'm gone. But the problem is that this door will stay open, so not only you can access it anytime, but so can Medicaid, nursing homes. So it might not always go just to who you want to go to.
5-year thing doesn't work with the revocable.
Correct. 5-year thing does not work with the revocable. What this is essentially think of a revocable trust is kind of a upgraded will. You're going into more detail. You're going into more planning of what happens with the money. Like I was saying before, if you wanted to make sure grandkids got the money, but they couldn't access it until they got to certain ages, you're building that out in more detail with the revocable trust.
When you have a will written out, like we just did a couple of years back after, oh my God, someone in the family died without a will, and we were still working. 10 years later, we're still having problems. But anyways, so now we got this will. Can we change it with like a codicil thing that we write ourselves? Are we allowed to write something to?
I'm personally, I'm not sure on the legal side of it. Without be an attorney and stuff like that. I don't know what the legal implications are of that and what's actually, if any updates are made, is that actually going to hold up? I'm not sure on that. I would honestly talk to like an attorney about that or a lawyer just to make sure.
Okay,
That's a great question.
they charge $400.
Where I just talked to you, right? Yeah.
400, more than 400.
Yeah.
Find another
Yeah.
lawyer.
Just, what'd you say?
Just for 5 minutes, right?
Oh my God, for 5 minutes, yeah, 5 minutes is like $100.
Yeah. Yeah.
I want to read a book and do it myself.
And I will say, Eric, you guys have wonderful speakers that I know are attorneys that have come through and stuff like that. So that might be another thing, just to kind of pick their brain when they do different sessions and everything. I don't know if they're here this month or not, but
There's a whole law and finance section.
yeah.
Okay. I'll be back.
And ma'am, you had to come back to the trust and everything. Did that help answer the two questions on that?
It did,
a little bit?
it did. Because, well, I just lost my ex-husband on Saturday and my kids are,
Sorry.
they were trying to, I mean, he had cancer and stuff like that, so we knew it was gonna happen, but he all of a sudden took a turn for the worse, so they were trying to get everything signed, because he said, I wanna leave everything for the kids, but he hadn't put anything in writing yet, and stuff like that, so, I mean, we actually went in with a notary, my son, he's a great, crazy, intelligent person, but he printed all the stuff up about with the trust and all that stuff and transfer of accounts and everything like that. And then we had the notary meet us in at the hospital so that he could sign them. And I mean, but then he ended up passing away before he was able to sign everything, but then he passed away before he could change everything, like his bank accounts into
Yeah.
the thing.
Mhm.
So now, yeah, everything's up in the air.
Yeah.
It's just,
And that's one of the reasons why like this seminar really kind of got going, because we hear so many stories like that. And it's, I tell you too, it's the toughest conversations to have, right? We don't want to plan for that for ourselves,
well, that's
because
why
that day's never going to come, right? Like,
my kids do.
yes, but then you go through it, and that's where you're like, I don't want to put this burden on my kids or my family in this. So, it becomes important. It's not fun conversations, of course, but it is so important, valuable.
I have another question. Say you have $100,000 and you don't have a beneficiary on the stock or whatever, and they die, does that, if it goes to probate, how much do you lose on that?
It depends on probate. Unfortunately, depends on the lawyers, courts, how much fees get taken out, but there's definitely more hands in the pot than at that time, unfortunately. And probate also delays everything. It could, I've heard some great stories where it takes a couple months. I've also heard horror stories that takes a couple years. And
Or 10?
yeah, and you have, family members that, they,
Contest it and stuff.
yeah, too. And then, people come out of the woodwork sometimes to fight it. And
Mhm.
it just, and that's the toughest thing too, is sometimes, hopefully for yourselves, you don't want to have internal fight with your own family. But we see it too often is, we always say like money makes people funny. And, sometimes best of friends, siblings, they're all of a sudden at each other because of, a few bucks that were left by mom or dad. Like, so it's just the more you could do to prepare to eliminate that, the better it is. But yes, probate is definitely that's why I said my number one question is I go through in beneficiaries at the very least. Beneficiaries will go right to who you decide. It does not get caught up in probate. So, that's at the very least the simplest way is beneficiaries on the accounts. Okay, so we talked about the nice thing too, and I made the joke before about being 10 years old and receiving savings bonds and stuff like that. The benefit for me to receive those is that when you're young, you have the time, and the longer you have to let your money grow, the better. So I always look back and I appreciate my grandparents and my family that did that for me, because they unfortunately didn't have the time. They didn't know, but they weren't, but they planted these seeds to let them grow for me. And even though they didn't get to be there when I used that money to, purchase, my first car, my first house, have my wedding, I used all those savings bonds for that. I didn't forget where they came from. And it was kind of like, even though my family couldn't be there for that, they were, so that's kind of where it's that tough point. But it's the greatest gift is to give them the time. And I have a small example. I have a really nice one in the back too that we'll talk about here. But the important word is that compound interest. Compound growth by having the time, the same dollars with more time is going to grow better than giving more money with less time. And you see with this is just a chart kind of showing if you invested $50 a month and the difference in starting ages. If you invested $50 a month for a grandchild, by the age of 18, they're looking at that money to be in around, $18,000, $19,000. If you waited a few years, that $50 is not going to grow as much per month because you don't have as many years, and it goes down from there, obviously, as you could imagine. It's that time, and the earlier we start. I run a survey with all my clients and stuff, and it was really kind of neat. I did a question to all my clients over the year, and I said, if you go back and tell yourself one thing, what would it be? Because we all have those hindsight moments in life, right? We all do. And it's easy to look back and say, I wish I would have done this. But, the biggest thing is just, I wish I would have known. I wish I would have known to start. Well, that's what this is. It's not you knowing. It's about you teaching for others to start and helping them be able to start. So here's a couple of different options on how to help. Education. There's education savings plans out there, specifically called a 529 plan. And if you know of these are focused on providing resources to go get educated. With you, if you set these up or parents set these up, you can put money in. There is no annual limits to how to contribute to these accounts. But the best part about this is their tax-deferred growth. Investments will grow without taxes. And most importantly, if the withdrawals are used for education, you have tax-free coming out. So just a little bit of money that you can put into this, and whatever it grows to, that's all for that individual to use. Now, the nice thing with these is you can set these up. The parents can set them up. You can set them up for a friend. It does not matter. There's no stipulations on family members need to set these up. It can be set up for anyone. Whoever is the account holder, though, will always control that money. So it never goes to the individuals or whoever you want to unless you decide. And I'll have another one I talk about that you don't have that control. So this is important if it is important to you. Over the years, though, when the 529s were originally created, they were focused on just paying off tuition to go to college. They have since expanded these opportunities. Now it's not only for college, but you can also go to trade school. Additionally, they have up to private schools. So you can use this money to go for K through 12. They have really expanded them over the years too, which I will tell you, I've had clients that are in school that were able to use this money to pay for room, living on campus, living off campus, paying for food. So it really has given them the ability, as long as they are labeled as a full-time student, this money goes to them tax-free, 100%. The other nice feature I'm really excited about is what's changed in the past year is, let's say, for example, you have these accounts for grandchildren, and then your grandchild, the geniuses they are, they got a full ride. Everything paid for. Well, hey, you just put all this money away, and now you can't use it for education for them. What you used to be able to do was just take the money out. Anything you put in came back out, no taxes, no penalty.
Really?
The growth, and this is where we talk about over all these years, you get the growth out of it. The IRS taxes and penalizes you just in the growth. But they take a piece of it, you're still able to get money out, and you can give it to the individual. They can spend it however they want then. It doesn't have to be for education, especially in that instance. They didn't have to pay for education, so they were okay. The one rule that just got added this past year was you can actually move that to a Roth IRA, which, if you're not familiar with a Roth IRA, it is a retirement account that grows tax-free. And it's used for retirement, that every dollar you put away into this, and every dollar it grows to over all the years, after the age of 59 and a half, they can take that money out, and it's 100% theirs.
So you can roll it over, you have to put it in your name or the kid's name?
This would go into the beneficiary's name. So for the minor,
Okay.
once you decide that they didn't need it for education, and you didn't want to take it out and get a tax hit, which is still an option, but if you wanted to say, I want this 100% growth to continue to grow tax-free, you can move it to a Roth IRA then, and then expand that growth for many, many years until they hit the retirement age. So it turns into an education resource, but also turns into an early retirement plan for them. And let me tell you, that's the biggest benefit. I mean, that was my hindsight. I didn't learn about retirement my first job, my first career. It took me a few years. Unfortunately, the average age for Americans to start saving for retirement is 33. Doesn't seem late, but I'm going to show you an example that makes a world of difference. Those 10, 11 years. So starting this, that you maybe started years ago when they were younger, and giving them many, many years to grow is a huge benefit.
Are those always like put into stock? Because we lost a little bit of money on those, when we did it. I didn't realize that. I thought it was more like a CD where you get.
Oh, yes. Yep.
I thought it was like a savings thing. I go, let's put money in there. And then it went.
So that's a great question. So that was where, with the investments for each of these accounts, and everything I said from the beginning, all these accounts I'm talking about are just the account. How you decide to invest that money within the account can be anything that your wishes. So it can be very aggressive. It could be a moderate, conservative. It could be a no risk, just earn interest type of investment. So it gives you the flexibility to decide what's most comfortable for you and how to meet your expectations. But I will tell you, like, personally, I'm a fiduciary advisor, which means I have to look out in the best interest of my clients, which, when you say that, it should be every advisor, right? That's a simple thing, but unfortunately, that's not by the law. As a fiduciary advisor, we don't invest in speculative investments. 529 plans, they don't allow you to invest speculatively. What I mean by that is you cannot invest in something that risks losing it all. It's not a gamble. So these accounts are set up that they have a ceiling for how high a risk you can go to provide a resource that you're not being too crazy with the money.
I didn't know that.
Sometimes, yeah.
They didn't tell us that when we bought them.
Oh, really?
No,
So you have a 529 or had one and stuff?
yeah, two
Yeah.
of my grandkids.
Wonderful. Okay. Now, this is important to know with these. The financial impacts. Because again, we got to play this smart game with taxes. So for 529, if it's opened in a parent's name for their child, when they go to apply for college and maybe they're trying to get financial aid, whatever the value is that they have in the 529 for that child, they're going to deduct, and I say they as the financial aid and the college university, is going to deduct 5.64% of that value off the financial aid. So they're still going to get a good portion of their financial aid. They're just going to lose about 5.64% of that because they have a 529 as the parent for that child. However, if it's anyone else, any other relative, friend, grandparent, there's no impact. So, ma'am, as I mentioned, I'll use you as an example. If you have a 529 for a grandchild, they can still receive 100% of the financial aid, even though you have that money there for them.
If their parents bought it, then they're really, no, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's, and they really try to probably, I don't want to say hurt, but they try to just minimize the, let's say you have a high income, parents that are earning a lot of money and they're diverting all their money to a 529 to try to lower their income. So it looks like they could be more financial aid. They're trying to make sure that people aren't able to do that.
So they can deduct the money that goes into that, which I just read that somewhere. They didn't tell us that either, that when we put all that money in, we could have deducted it from the state income tax bar. I said, I just read that a couple days ago.
Yep.
Why does nobody tax this stuff?
Yeah, because that's as the owner of a 529, if you put money into your 529 that you're controlling, you can deduct for state tax up to $10,000 per year. So it's every year. Yep.
1 year.
Yeah.
Well, we lost, I don't know how much.
And that's the thing, most of the time, like the accountants don't even catch it because they don't think to ask these questions on that. So yeah. It's a one that's kind of always forgotten, right? But so this is, just kind of going through, like, obviously, talking about a grandchild or something like that, open up a 529 at birth, steadily contribute during their ages. 18, they go to school and they have their full tuition paid for. Whether it be with the amount that you have put aside for them in the 529, scholarships and everything like that. But the most important thing, and this is a very tough thing to have in life, you graduate debt-free. My biggest struggle when I work with young individuals going into their first career is they're not starting from the beginning because they already have this burden of debt that they're carrying with them. And that becomes, for me, it becomes my first goal to help them eliminate. And for some, it takes many years to get that off their plates. Then they can finally start thinking about the future. So it's a burden there. We look to say if there's any eligibility to provide that financial freedom, a 529 is a good one. Now I'm going to switch gears here. Any questions with the 529s? Education. I think it makes sense for everyone.
I just have one.
Yes, of course.
Where you could roll it over into an IRA, it's at 15 years. Is it 15 years from the time you started the IRA?
Correct, yes. Thank you for pointing that out. I'm sorry, I did not say that. So yeah, unused funds. So it's from when the time the 529 started.
Okay,
So if you started a 529 today and you wanted to move it over to a Roth, you would have to wait 15
15
years.
years.
Yeah.
okay.
Oh, wait 15 years?
Yes, from the time when the 529 started.
Oh.
But from that side of
Who'd
it,
you deal with? They told you nothing, right?
I know.
thank you for catching on. Sorry, I did not say that. No.
Got in trouble, I'm telling you.
But I'll tell you too, like, I mean, the nice thing with the 529, like, you get to decide. You're in control of the 529s. You can decide to change the account owner to the individual. So let's say you have it as, your kids, and they graduate school. You can just put it into their name, even though they're not still in school, it's still theirs. They can wait then that time period and then move it to a Roth. Or they can then move it to their kids. So the nice thing with the 529, it never goes away. You can transfer it to different individuals and it can go to anyone. The other nice thing too, I didn't mention this with the expenses, what you can use them for. I've had grandparents who had the 529s left over from their kids, and at this time there wasn't a Roth available. They found a trip for their grandkids to go on through a university.
Mm.
The grandkid was already graduated, but they will give them a full 2-week trip over to Europe because it's through the university to go for. So it's all expense paid with the 529.
How do you prove all this stuff? You got to,
It has to be paid through the school. So from that, like example,
well, but if they want to do, not tuition, but they want to buy books or pay for food or dorms, how do you keep track of all that stuff?
so it is a little bit of tracking. I will say when I went through my clients and did that, I keep records of everything. I'm particular like that. But I always tell them too, they have to keep these documentations because you never know. You could get audited.
Yeah.
But we always talk to the university first. Because the university, with each university, can only spend so much. So say, for example, I'm sorry I'm getting off track here, but that's a good question. Say, for example, you live off campus and your rent is $2,000 a month. But if you lived on campus, it only costs $1,000. You can't use your whole 529 to pay off your rent off campus. You can only use the maximum like you're living on campus.
Mhm.
So that's why we always talk to the university first. I help with my clients implement that and begin the process. But there's certain limits you can spend as a full-time student on campus. You can only spend that same amount if you live off campus.
Oh.
So it's a lot easier when you're on campus because everything's being paid to the school. It's easy to keep track because they have the records. But when you're off campus, it's available. It just becomes more of a accountant standpoint. You got to make sure you keep track of.
We can't do this the first 2 years anyhow.
Yeah. All right. So the second one is, let's say you don't want to focus on education. You're more focused on saving to give flexibility. This type of account is something that you or anyone else is able to open up for a minor. So these accounts, just like the 529, is to be open for someone that's younger than 21 or age 18. These are called a Uniform Transfer to Minors Act, or for simple terms, usually people just say UTMA. Same type of thing, you're going to have an adult, a parent or grandparent manage this account. And the minor, the child, is going to be actually the legal owner of the assets. However, when you're a minor, you can't do anything. You obviously can't invest. So it's still in control of the adult. Just like the 529s, you can invest any way possible with these type of accounts. So think of this as like a bank account. You can just have it in cash. You can have it in CDs. You could have it in any type of investment that you want, from mutual funds to individual stocks. The benefits with this is it's flexible withdrawals. meaning at any point, no matter what age the child is, you can take money out as long as the purpose is used to benefit that child. So perfect example with this, let's say you open an account for your grandchild and your grandchild turns 16 tomorrow and you want to help give them money for a car. You can take this out of this account and help them purchase that car with this money.
Does that go against them when they, for financial aid?
Yes, and I'll get to my negatives on this, yes, because that is something.
Okay.
With this as well, just like a bank account, there is no contributions limits. You can put in as much as you want. You can take as much as you want out. Like the 529s, there are some tax advantages. This account, because you get flexibility, does not give you as good of tax advantages as the 529s. So essentially with this, and I know this is a little bit small down here, but the first $1,100 of growth in this account is tax-free. The second $1,100 is typically at the minor's, the child's tax rate, which for kids, they're not earning anything if they're younger age, so you're getting the advantage of another low tax savings on their growth. And then everything else, if you pull money out, if there's a lot of growth, it's going to be based on your tax accounts at that time of year you take it out. Or if it passes to the minor when they're old enough, they will take on the tax burden. So there will be some taxes involved with the growth on this. Our cons of this, and why this is still like there's not always that unfortunate perfect account for everything to be right. Number one, financial impact. No matter who is the adult on this account, there will be about a 20% financial impact if they're going for financial aid. Where the 529s, if it's not in the parent's name, they can scoot no penalty at all. And even for the parent, it was only 5%. This one's upwards of 20%. So you lose some advantages with the flexibility. The other tough thing with this, and the other comparison I said with the 529 is it always stays in your control, or you designate who it goes to. For these accounts, once that minor turns the legal age of 21, it's their account. Sometimes it's scary because we don't know how our 21-year-old is going to be maturity-wise and how good they're going to be with money. And that's sometimes a fear for individuals with that. But like I said, these accounts are great accounts for those that want to have the flexibility. A lot of times these accounts are built for minors to prepare for post-education years. We see a lot of these accounts being used for first homes, weddings, just to get a leg up, to help pay off things or really get that next step into their working career. Any questions on this one? Like I said, think savings account, just a little bit broader in what you can do with it. The last account I'll go through with you today is that minor IRA. These are accounts that you're thinking of retirement for them. This is one of my least selected type of accounts, but I always mention it because most people don't want to think about retirement. We usually say if we can help with the first two and we give them a leg up in life through education or their early part of the career, it's on them to figure out their retirement, not us. But these are two different things to think about. When you look at an IRA, typically I will and always suggest the Roth IRA. And the reason for that is because this money is put in after taxes are taken out already. So you are getting all the growth tax-free for them. Versus the other way is they're going to have to pay taxes on not only what you put in, but also all the growth later in life too. So it really kind of comes down to these accounts receive tax benefits now or later. If it's a young person, this is always my go-to because I'd rather have them have the benefits later. Now, a couple of things with the minor IRAs. Number one, there's no minimum age. So you can open up an IRA at any point for a minor. The only thing is that minor has to be earning some type of income. So another reason why most of these don't get set up is because most minors aren't working until 14, 15 years old, unless they're a movie star, a little kid that can be open, modeling, Fisher Price and stuff like that. Like, that does happen every once in a while, but unless they're earning, we cannot put into these accounts. And then for these, they do receive these at age 18 or 21. Little bit tougher than the last account to obviously access this money. And it is hopefully you really are building these accounts for the long term for them. That's why we're building them. So we're educating them about the long-term benefits of these accounts and why not to touch them early on. So these accounts are strictly really focused on their retirement long-term. Now I have a quick example here, and then we'll wrap this up. I apologize, we're a little bit over, but I will show you a quick scenario here. I have two individuals here. The first one is Maria. For Maria, she started working from age 14 to 18. When she worked with the help of her parents, she was able to contribute on average $3,000 per year into her Roth IRA. Now, the nice advantage is, and I didn't mention this, but in the example, Maria makes $3,000 for a year working. She doesn't have to put her own money into the Roth. She can only put in $3,000, but her parents are able to put that $3,000 in, or relatives, friend, doesn't matter. She just can't put in more than what she earns in the year. So it's a really, really nice thing. It's a good lesson plan. What I see a lot of parents do if they have one set up for a minor who's just starting to work is to say, hey, you make $3,000 this year. If you put some money into this, we'll match. And it lets them kind of learn to put their own money in, but also in the support from the parents or grandparents or whoever to help build that up. But in this example, so Maria works for 5 years, puts $3,000 away per year. Then at age 18, I would not recommend this. At age 18, she stopped contributing to this account. She let the investments grow. And in this account, she was growth focused. So from there, she stopped putting at age 18. By age 60, this account's almost $1 million. Now, let me show you a comparison here. We got Simon. Same thing. He worked at a young age, but he did not start contributing to his Roth until the age of 30. But what Simon did was he put in the same dollar amount Maria put in, $3,000 per year, but he did it from age 30 to age 60. So Maria put in 5 years, he put in for 30 years, the same dollar amount. He still did nice, but by age 60, a little bit less than Maria. And I got a nice comparison side by side. So again, start an age, stop an age. We only put in $12,000 for the 4 years she contributed. Simon, over his 30 years, put in $90,000.
That's almost a shame. Yeah.
That's the difference, right? It's the waiting game.
Wow.
So giving people the advantage, that's the hindsight right there. And I wish I would have known it. I'm sure a lot of people wish they would have known it, putting away little bits early on and letting your money work for you makes the difference.
I have.
And I will tell you too, with my presentations and what I do with all my clients, I want to pass on the knowledge. And I think in this room, if you guys take anything out of this, is there anyone you can help provide advice to? Whether they listen or not, you can at least set them up to have some wealth up here to give them the wealth in the pockets. These teach responsibility, teach you don't need instant gratification. Too often in this world, I feel like we're so focused on what can I do and get now. I have a 7 and 9-year-old home, and it's so tough because they think everything's just, oh, I can get it now, right? And that's the toughest learning process. But these help, and I think showing them that way too, you give them the ability to build that confidence, and then they're going into their careers and their young adult stage with the power to know and to advance themselves a lot further. I give this to you all in your folders. It's just a nice breakdown of kind of the different features that 3 different accounts we talked about today, where they're benefiting, and tax-wise, flexibility, and then kind of what's it best used for. So I gave you that chart, and really kind of like next steps for yourself. So obviously I'll take questions and stuff too if you have them. But number one, like I said from the beginning, everyone has a different goal and a different want in life with your plan. So think about what's beneficial for you, whether it's helping your children or grandchildren, or sometimes just making sure. Go home and check your beneficiaries. Make sure those are correct how you want them. Those are the simple, easy things to do to making sure that your future is going to be in good hands. Next thing is review your options. I mean, if any of the things I talked about today align with those goals and you want help, you want more information on it, please let me know. I have plenty of information to pass along. And always able to talk about those things as well. And then take actions. If there's anything you could do this week to start the conversation, like I said, I'm here. Talk to your advisor if you have one. Talk to your people that you trust, and making sure it all fits into your plans. Thank you all for being here today. Was there any questions that anyone might have for me? You all asked great questions throughout. I really appreciate it too.
Thank you.
Eric, was there anything online was good?
They are no question.
Okay, awesome.
But somebody did ask if they could get a copy of your presentation. If you don't mind emailing that to me.
Yeah. If they're able to give me the email and stuff, I can definitely reach out and provide them that. So, yeah.
Sounds good to me. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you all very much for coming today. I really
Thank
appreciate
you.
you.
Thank you.
And
Explaining things.
you're very welcome. Yes. And I'll stick around too for a little bit if you do have anything to chat about.
What do you think? Wouldn't you be better buying stock instead of doing these things, just buying a couple of shares of stock?
Oh,
When you're young, when the kids
Yeah.
are 14, 15,
I'll be down
when the stock is going down, it's like insane, right? I mean, it's gonna, we're gonna lose a lot of money, I think. But
That's it.
And I think those days, I mean, that was kind of like the old, just the easy, like go to a company and buy a stock and hold on to it.
right,
You get no protection, you get no tax advantage. You could do the same thing with any of these accounts, and you put the stock in there, and it carries more advantage. If you bought Apple stock 30 years ago, and you just had it as an Apple stock today, you sold it, you'd be paying a lot in taxes. If you put that same Apple stock in a Roth IRA, you get all that growth and you pay no taxes. So I go into, yes, and the bottom line, the investments are as important as anything, but also how you establish the accounts are so important because you're going to benefit even further with those type of accounts.
okay.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, you're very welcome. Thank you for coming today, and hope you all enjoy the good rest of your day. Eric, Mike, to unplug.
Yes.
Thanks again.
You're welcome.
Yeah, whenever you find some time, we had about 6 people.